The first time I realized my family was stealing from me, I was signing a new lease agreement for my Manhattan apartment. Not the dramatic revelation you'd expect, just a simple LLC name printed in crisp letters at the bottom of the page: Amelia Shepherd Properties. I'm Patricia, and I've spent my entire adult life being the responsible one. You know the type, the daughter who actually finished college, landed the corporate job, and makes enough money to be everyone's safety net. The one who gets the 2 a.m. calls when someone needs bail money or has another temporary financial emergency. The lease sat on my glass coffee table, mocking me. For 6 years, I'd been writing monthly checks to what I thought was a management company, believing I was helping my struggling artist sister make rent by subletting her extra room. Turns out I was funding her real estate empire. My phone buzzed. Speaking of the devil. Trish? Amelia's voice dripped with her usual manufactured enthusiasm. You're coming to Sunday dinner, right? Mom's making that salmon you love. I stared at the lease. Wouldn't miss it, I replied, my voice steady despite the rage building in my chest. Hey, quick question. Did you know my building changed ownership? A pause, too long to be innocent. Oh, that? Yeah, some investment group bought it. Nothing to worry about, though. The lie rolled off her tongue so easily, I almost admired her skill. Almost. Right, I said. See you Sunday. The familiar brownstone loomed before me as I approached my parents' house that weekend. Inside, the scene was picture perfect. Mom arranging flowers, Dad reading the Wall Street Journal, Amelia setting the table with her boyfriend Rylan in tow. Patricia! Mom's voice carried that slight edge it always had with me. Help me with the salad, dear. In the kitchen, I mechanically chopped tomatoes while Mom rattled on about Amelia's latest achievement. Did you hear? She's being featured in that new gallery downtown. Such a creative spirit. Fascinating, I said, knife hitting the cutting board with increasing force. Speaking of achievements, I closed the Peterson account this week, brought in 7 figures for the firm. That's nice, dear. Mom barely paused. Oh, could you loan your sister some money for the gallery opening? Just a few thousand? She needs new pieces to display. The knife stilled. Actually, Mom, I wanted to talk about everyone. Dad's voice boomed from the dining room. Come eat while it's hot. Dinner was the usual performance. Amelia dominated the conversation, describing her artistic vision while Rylan gazed at her adoringly. Mom and Dad beamed with pride. I pushed salmon around my plate, thinking about the hundreds of thousands I'd paid into my sister's secret business. Oh, Trish, Amelia said suddenly. Did you sign that new lease yet? The management company was asking. I met her eyes across the table. Not yet. Been busy reviewing the terms. I took a slow sip of wine. Interesting company name. What do you mean? Mom asked, but there was a flicker of something in her eyes. Just that it's unusual to see your daughter's name on your other daughter's lease. The table went silent. Amelia Shepherd Properties? Really? Amelia laughed. Actually laughed. Oh, that. I was wondering when you'd notice. Notice that you've been lying to me for years? Don't be dramatic, Patricia. Dad cut in. Your sister showed excellent business acumen. You should be proud. Proud? I set down my wine glass carefully. I've been paying triple market rate rent to fund her real estate purchases under false pretenses. It's called capitalism, sis. Amelia smirked. Maybe if you weren't so busy being boring in finance, you'd have thought of it first. Mom touched my arm. Patricia, dear, family helps family. You've always been so good at that. I looked around the table, at my father's dismissive expression, my mother's practiced deflection, my sister's smug smile. Years of manipulation crystallized in that moment. They'd never see me as anything but an ATM with a pulse. You're right, I said, standing up. Family helps family, and I've got 6 years of help to collect on. Don't be bitter, Amelia called as I headed for the door. You'll keep paying either way. You're predictable like that. I paused, hand on the doorknob, and smiled. Not anymore. Walking home, I pulled out my phone and dialed a number I'd saved months ago when I'd first started suspecting something wasn't right. Jorge? It's Patricia. Remember that conversation about property law? I'm ready to move forward. Monday morning found me in my office at 6 a.m., surrounded by property records spread across my desk. Each document felt like another nail in the coffin of my family's deception. 6 buildings in Manhattan, 4 in Brooklyn. All purchased within the time frame I'd been paying my rent. My office door clicked open. Olive, my closest friend at the firm, stood there holding 2 coffee cups. "You look like hell," she said, setting one cup in front of me. "What's with the paper fortress?" I handed her the lease. "Remember how I told you something felt off about my sister's sudden success?" Olive scanned the document, her eyebrows rising. "Holy shit, Patricia. She owns your building?" "That's just the beginning." I gestured at the papers. "Look at the purchase dates. Every time she bought a property, it lines up with when I was helping her with some crisis or another. The gallery renovation? Commercial space in Soho. The medical emergency? Down payment on a brownstone." Olive sat down, shaking her head. "And your parents?" "In on it. Dad's probably been advising her." "He's got experience hiding money. I've been tracking his questionable investments for years." I pulled out my laptop. "Watch this." I pulled up a spreadsheet I'd been building all night. Every transaction, every tearful phone call, every guilt trip from my mother, all meticulously documented with corresponding property acquisitions. 2.7 million, I said quietly. That's how much I've given them over 6 years. Jesus Christ. Olive leaned forward. "What are you going to do?" My phone buzzed, a text from Amelia. "Rent's due tomorrow. Don't forget to add the new maintenance fee." I showed Olive the text. "First, I'm meeting with Jorge Morrison at lunch. He's a lawyer who specializes in real estate fraud. And then I'm going to do what I do best. Follow the money." I pulled out a small black notebook. I've kept records of every family conversation, every financial request, every suspicious transaction for the past decade. Call it paranoia, call it self-preservation. Now it's evidence. Olive studied my face. "You're not just angry. You're planning something. Did you know my father has been dodging SEC investigations for years? Or that my mother's been altering charitable donation records for tax breaks?" I smiled tightly. Amazing what people say around the responsible daughter. They think being quiet means being stupid. My phone rang. Mom's number. "Patricia, darling." Her voice dripped honey. "About Sunday dinner, Amelia feels you might have misunderstood her business strategy." "Strategy?" I kept my voice level. "Is that what we're calling fraud now? Don't be dramatic. We're family. Family supports each other's success." Funny how that support only flows one direction. "Now, Patricia, I have a meeting, Mom. Give Amelia my best." I hung up and turned to Olive. "Want to help me destroy an empire?" That's dark, even for you. But she was already pulling her chair closer. "What's the plan?" I opened another file on my laptop. Amelia's properties are leveraged to the hilt. She's been taking bridge loans from private lenders to expand faster. One of those lenders just defaulted. And I've arranged to buy the debt. I showed her the contract. By next week, I'll own the notes on half her properties. She just doesn't know it yet. Olive whistled low. "You're not playing around." They wanted a responsible daughter? I started gathering the papers. I'll show them responsible. Every transaction documented, every legal loophole explored, every bit of leverage calculated. By the time I'm done, they'll wish I'd just been angry. "Patricia." Olive touched my arm. "Just be careful. Revenge can consume you." "This isn't revenge." I closed my laptop. "It's investment recovery." My phone buzzed again, a text from Jorge. "Documents ready. Meeting still on for 12? I replied quickly. On my way. And Jorge? Bring everything you have on shell companies and property transfers. Standing up, I straightened my blazer and grabbed my purse. I'm done being the ATM, I told Olive. It's time I collected interest. She watched me head for the door. What happens when they realize what you're doing? I paused, thinking about Sunday dinner, about years of manipulation and mockery. They'll do what they always do, underestimate me. I smiled. That's exactly what I'm counting on. The following Sunday, I arrived at dinner with a manila envelope tucked under my arm. My mother's face tightened when she saw it. She'd always hated when I brought work to family gatherings. Patricia, she said, adjusting a flower arrangement that was already perfect. We were just discussing Amelia's new development project. Were you? I set the envelope on the dining room table. How fascinating. Amelia breezed in, Rylan trailing behind her like a well-trained puppy. Sis, you won't believe it. I just closed on this amazing property in Chelsea. Let me guess, I said, pulling out a chair. Mixed-use development? Ground floor retail? She beamed. How did you know? Just a hunch. I watched Dad pour the wine. Speaking of property, I brought something to share with everyone. Mom's hand trembled slightly as she passed the salad. Patricia, dear, perhaps this isn't the time. Actually, Mom, it's exactly the time. I opened the envelope and started laying out documents. I've been doing some research into our family's business ventures. Boring, Amelia sang, but her eyes darted to the papers. Oh, I don't think so. I slid a document toward her. This is interesting. It shows how you used my rent payments as proof of income to secure your first commercial loan. Fraud, by the way. The room went silent. Dad set down his wine glass. Patricia, you're being ridiculous. Am I? I pulled out more papers. Here's the timeline of every emergency where you needed money, Amelia. Perfectly aligned with your property acquisitions. And here's Mom's falsified tax records showing the money as gifts rather than loans. That's enough, Dad snapped. No, it's not. I turned to face him. Should we discuss your creative accounting? The shell companies? The SEC would love to hear about those. Amelia laughed, but it sounded forced. What are you trying to prove? Nothing. I'm making an announcement. I pulled out the final document. I now own the debt on your Chelsea property, and the one in Soho. And 3 others. The color drained from her face. That's impossible. Remember Marcus Holdings? The private lender you borrowed from? They defaulted last month. I bought the debt through a shell company. Learned that trick from Dad. Mom stood up, hands shaking. Patricia, you're destroying this family. No, Mom. You did that when you decided one daughter was worth sacrificing for the other. It was business. Amelia spat. You're just jealous because I built something while you played it safe in your corporate job. Built something? I laughed. You built a house of cards with my money. And now? I stood up. I own the cards. Dad slammed his hand on the table. You ungrateful. Save it. I cut him off. The default notices go out tomorrow. You have 30 days to pay the full balance on the loans. Amelia's face twisted. You can't do this. I'm your sister. Funny. You didn't act like my sister when you were stealing millions from me. We can work something out, Mom pleaded. We're family. Family? I turned to her. Family doesn't exploit each other. Family doesn't laugh when they're caught stealing. Family doesn't... I stopped, steadied myself. Actually, maybe this is exactly what family does. I'm just finally playing by your rules. Rylan spoke up for the first time. Amelia, what's she talking about? What loans? Stay out of this, Amelia snapped at him. I gathered my documents. You have 30 days. I suggest you start liquidating assets. You'll regret this, Dad growled. You have no idea what you're doing. That's where you're wrong. I headed for the door. I know exactly what I'm doing. I learned from the best, after all. Amelia's voice stopped me. You really think you can beat me at my own game? You're pathetic, Patricia. Always following rules, always playing nice. You don't have what it takes. I turned back one last time. You know what your biggest mistake was? Teaching me that family means nothing. Because now? I smiled. Now I don't have to hold back. The door slammed behind me as I left. My phone buzzed. A text from Jorge. Default notices ready to file first thing tomorrow. Sure you want to do this? I typed back quickly. Do it. And Jorge? Let's talk about those SEC violations next. Walking home, I felt lighter than I had in years. They thought they'd trained me to be obedient, responsible, predictable. Instead, they'd taught me how to be ruthless, and class was finally in session. The next morning, I pulled a heavy box from the back of my closet. Inside were 15 years of carefully organized notebooks. Every conversation, every financial transaction, every suspicious meeting I'd witnessed. Being the quiet one had its advantages. People tend to forget you're in the room. My phone rang. Olive. Your sister's having a meltdown on Instagram, she said without preamble. Something about toxic family betrayal and the death of sisterly love. I opened my laptop. How many crying selfies? 3, with artsy black and white filters. Olive paused. Your mom's been calling the office. Let me guess. She's worried about my mental health? Bingo. Says you're having a breakdown and need family support. I snorted, flipping through one of the notebooks. Classic deflection. When manipulation fails, they'll try to discredit me. Speaking of manipulation, Olive said, your father's been making calls too, to his old business partners. I know. I pulled up an email from Jorge. He's trying to secure emergency funding to cover Amelia's loans. But here's what he doesn't know. I've got proof of his tax evasion from 2018. The Miami deal? Exactly. I found the relevant notebook. Remember when he was consulting for that real estate group in Florida? I have records of him moving money through offshore accounts. Very detailed records. How long have you been planning this? I thought about all the family dinners I'd sat through, quietly observing, documenting. Let's just say I learned early that having receipts matters. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. I put it on speaker. Is this Gerard O'Connor? I asked. Patricia. A smooth, measured voice. I received your proposal. Interesting reading. I thought you might appreciate it. I glanced at my notes, especially the part about Amelia's Chelsea property. The one you now control? He chuckled. Very clever, but why reach out to me? Because you want her properties, and I want her empire dismantled. Seems like we could help each other. Silence stretched for a moment. I'm listening. Meet me at the Capitol Grill, tonight, 8 p.m. I'll be there. After hanging up, Olive spoke. You're playing a dangerous game. No, I corrected her. I'm playing their game. Finally. My phone lit up again. Amelia calling. I let it go to voicemail. You should hear this, I told Olive, putting it on speaker. Patricia, you psychotic bitch. Amelia's voice cracked. Dad's lawyers will destroy you. You think you're so smart? You have no idea what's coming. Call me back or... I deleted the message. Predictable. When threats don't work, she'll try bribes next. How can you be so calm about this? I opened another notebook, this one from 2019. Because I have something they don't. Proof. I showed her the page. See this? Dad's meeting with investors where he admitted to cooking the books. I recorded it. You recorded your own father? After he used my trust fund to cover his gambling debts? Yes. I pulled out more notebooks. I've got Mom's charity fraud documented here. Amelia's insurance scam from 2020. Every lie, every scheme, every betrayal, all carefully noted and dated. My phone buzzed again. A text from Jorge. SEC contact interested in your father's files. Meeting tomorrow? You're really going to do it? Olive asked. Turn in your own father? I thought about all the times he'd dismissed my achievements, used my money, praised Amelia while treating me like an ATM. He stopped being my father the day he helped Amelia steal from me. I texted Jorge back. Meeting confirmed, bringing the Miami files. Standing up, I started organizing the notebooks by date. Want to help me digitize these? We need backup copies before the lawyers get involved. Olive picked up a notebook, reading. Her eyes widened. Patricia, this is nuclear. You could destroy them all with this. That's the plan. I sat at my scanner. They thought making me the responsible one meant I'd just take their abuse forever. They forgot that responsible people keep records. My phone lit up. Mom calling now. I declined it. You know they won't stop, Olive warned. Good. I opened the first notebook. Because neither will I. And unlike them, I've got receipts for everything. The scanner hummed to life as I began preserving years of evidence. Each page felt like another nail in the coffin of my family's corruption. They wanted war? I'd give them war. Documented, organized, and legally bulletproof. Let them try to talk their way out of this one. The Capitol Grill was exactly the kind of place Amelia loved. All dark wood and old money pretension. Gerard O'Connor sat at a corner table, looking exactly like his LinkedIn photo. Sharp suit, calculating eyes, perfect posture. I took the liberty of ordering wine, he said as I sat down. Figured we'd need it for this conversation. I prefer to keep a clear head when discussing business. I placed a folder on the table, especially business like this. He smiled, just slightly. Your sister's made quite a few enemies in real estate. I'm aware. That's why I chose you. I opened the folder. You've been trying to get into the Chelsea market for years. Amelia's been blocking you. She's aggressive in her tactics. She's a fraud, I corrected, and I can prove it. More importantly, I control enough of her debt to force a sale. Gerard leaned forward. And what do you want in return? Help me dismantle her empire, property by property. You get the commercial spaces, I get my money back, and she gets what she deserves. Your own sister? He studied my face. That's cold. No colder than stealing millions from family. I pulled out a document. This is my offer. Review it with your lawyers. My phone buzzed. Amelia again. I declined the call. Popular tonight? Gerard asked. Just family being family. I took a sip of water. Do we have a deal? He read through the document carefully. This is comprehensive. You've thought of everything. I learned from the best. I checked my watch. I need an answer tonight. Why the rush? Because tomorrow, the SEC opens an investigation into my father's dealings. Once that hits the news, everything changes. Gerard's eyebrows rose. You're not just going after your sister. I'm going after everyone who thought they could use me. I pulled out another document. Sign now, and you'll have first rights on all commercial properties when they're liquidated. He picked up his pen, then paused. Your sister's boyfriend, Rylan. He's been asking about development partnerships. Let me guess, offering inside information? Among other things. I smiled. Perfect. String him along. The more desperate they get, the more mistakes they'll make. Gerard signed the papers. You're nothing like your sister described. No, I agreed. I'm much worse. My phone buzzed again. A text from Mom. Please stop this madness. Your father's not well. We can work this out as a family. I showed Gerard the text. See? Right on schedule. Next comes the health crisis, then the legal threats, and finally, the bribery attempt. You've really mapped this all out. Down to the last detail. I stood up. Have your lawyers contact Jorge Morrison. He's handling the transfers. Outside, I checked my voicemail. 3 messages from Amelia, each more hysterical than the last. 1 from Dad, all bluster and threats. 2 from Mom, playing the guilt card. Olive was waiting at my apartment with takeout and a concerned expression. Your sister's escalating, she said, handing me a container. She's been calling everyone at the firm trying to get dirt on you. Let her. I sat down exhausted. I've got 15 years of dirt on her. Patricia. Olive hesitated. Are you sure about involving the SEC? That's not just revenge, that's prison time. You know what my father said when I made partner? I opened the container. He said Amelia would have made managing director by now. When I bought my first apartment? He said I was wasting money on rent when I could be investing like Amelia. That's awful, but no buts. I pulled out my phone, showing her the signed agreement. Gerard's on board. By this time next month, Amelia won't own a single property in Manhattan. My phone lit up. Rylan calling this time. Hello, Rylan. Patricia, please. His voice was desperate. Amelia's falling apart. She needs her sister. Really? Because last week I was pathetic and jealous. Funny how that changes when the money runs out. Just talk to her. Please. I thought about all the times I'd begged Amelia to pay me back, all the times she'd laughed it off. I am talking to her, I said. Through my lawyers. Good night, Rylan. After hanging up, Olive touched my arm. You know there's no going back from this, right? I looked at my phone. Another text from Mom, another threat from Dad, another tearful message from Amelia. Good, I said. Because I'm done going back. Tomorrow, the SEC would open their investigation. Tomorrow, the real damage would begin, and I couldn't wait. The SEC announcement hit the news on a Wednesday morning. By Sunday dinner time, my father's face had aged 10 years, and my mother's hands wouldn't stop shaking as she served the roast. You've really done it now, Amelia snarled as I took my seat. Daddy's lawyer says they're looking at his entire business history. Fascinating. I helped myself to potatoes. How's the Chelsea property doing? You know damn well. Enough, Mom interrupted. Patricia, surely we can discuss this like family. I set down my fork. Like family? You mean like how you discussed using my rent money to fund Amelia's property purchases? That was business, Dad growled. No, that was fraud. I pulled out my phone. Speaking of fraud, how's the SEC looking at those Miami investments? The color drained from his face. You wouldn't. I already did. I showed him the screen, an email confirmation from the SEC investigator. They were very interested in those offshore accounts. Amelia slammed her hand on the table. Do you have any idea what you've done? My investors are pulling out. The banks are calling in loans. I know exactly what I've done. I turned to her. Gerard O'Connor sends his regards, by the way. Gerard? She went pale. What does he have to do with this? He's buying your Chelsea property, at a significant discount, I might add. Amazing what people will settle for in a distress sale. Mom started crying. Patricia, please, your father's heart. Save it. I cut her off. The guilt trips won't work anymore. You vindictive bitch, Amelia spat. You're just jealous because I built something while you played it safe. Built something? I laughed. Let's talk about what you built. I pulled out a folder. A pyramid scheme of properties, all funded with stolen money and fraudulent loans. Want to know how I know? Because I have every email, every transfer, every conversation documented. Dad stood up, looming over the table. You're bluffing. Try me. I met his gaze. Remember that meeting in 2019? The one where you admitted to falsifying investment reports? I recorded it. The silence was deafening. You recorded us? Mom whispered. I recorded everything. I opened the folder. Every family dinner where you mocked me. Every phone call where you demanded money. Every conversation where you planned how to use me. We're your family, Amelia pleaded, her voice cracking. No, you're parasites who happen to share my DNA. I stood up. And now you're paying for it. All of you. What do you want? Dad asked, deflated. Want? I want my $2.7 million back. I want Amelia's empire dismantled. I want you to face the SEC with no way to lie your way out. I smiled. And I want you to know that your responsible daughter did this. Methodically, legally, perfectly. I'll destroy you, Amelia threatened, but her voice trembled. With what? I asked. Your properties are leveraged to the hilt. Your investors are fleeing. Gerard owns your contracts. Face it, sister. You're done. Mom tried one last time. Patricia, whatever you think we did, save it for the investigators. I headed for the door. Oh, and Amelia, the rent's due tomorrow. Don't forget the new maintenance fee. Outside, my phone buzzed. Jorge calling. The SEC wants to meet tomorrow, he said. They're particularly interested in the Miami recordings. Schedule it. I walked to my car. And Jorge? Release the documents to the other investors. Let's watch this house of cards collapse properly. Another call came in. Olive. Your sister just posted another Instagram rant, she said. This one's about betrayal and karma. Karma? I laughed. She has no idea what karma is, but she's about to learn. Patricia. Olive hesitated. Are you okay? I thought about the dinner, about their faces when they realized just how thoroughly I'd documented their schemes. I'm better than okay, I said. I'm finally free. My phone lit up with texts. Amelia, Mom, Dad, even Rylan. All begging, threatening, pleading. I blocked them all. Tomorrow, the SEC would start their formal investigation. Tomorrow, Gerard would begin acquiring Amelia's properties. Tomorrow, years of fraud would come to light. But tonight? Tonight I'd go home, pour a glass of wine, and read through my old notebooks one last time. Not out of nostalgia, but to make sure I hadn't missed anything. After all, I was the responsible one, and responsible people always double-check their work, especially when destroying their family. 3 weeks after the SEC investigation began, I sat in Gerard's new office, formerly Amelia's, watching movers pack up her pretentious art collection. Your sister's bankruptcy filing went through this morning, Gerard said, handing me a coffee. She's trying to claim ignorance of the fraud. Good luck with that. I sipped the coffee. I provided the SEC with emails proving she orchestrated everything. My phone buzzed. Rylan. Speaking of orchestrating, I showed Gerard the text. Her boyfriend's been trying to cut a deal, offering to testify against her. Smart man. Desperate man. I deleted the message. He's broke too. Turns out Amelia was funding his lifestyle. Gerard leaned back in his chair. Your father's not doing much better. His old business partners are jumping ship. They should. I pulled up an email. The SEC found evidence of fraud going back 15 years. Mom's charity scheme was just the tip of the iceberg. How's she handling it? Still playing the victim. I showed him her latest text. Your father's in the hospital. Stress-induced collapse. I hope you're happy. Are you? Happy? I watched another painting come down from the wall. I'm satisfied. There's a difference. My phone rang. Olive. You need to see this, she said. Amelia's doing a live Instagram video. I pulled it up on my laptop, Gerard moving to watch over my shoulder. My sister's perfectly curated image had cracked. Her makeup was smeared, hair disheveled. My own sister, she sobbed to the camera. She destroyed our family out of jealousy. I closed the laptop. Same story, different platform. She's not entirely wrong, Gerard observed. You did destroy your family. No. I stood up, walking to the window. They destroyed themselves. I just kept receipts. My phone buzzed again. Jorge this time. The SEC wants another meeting, he said. They found something interesting in your father's offshore accounts. Let me guess. More hidden assets? Better. Evidence of insider trading. Recent activity. I smiled. He never could help himself. Schedule the meeting. After hanging up, I watched another moving truck pull up outside. You know what the funny thing is, Gerard? They still think this is about money. Isn't it? It's about consequences. I turned back to him. They spent years teaching me that family means nothing, that loyalty is a weakness, that trust is for fools. Expensive lesson. Very. I checked my watch. The eviction notice for my parents' house goes out today. Mom's been hiding assets there. Gerard raised an eyebrow. Your childhood home? Just another property. I gathered my things. Speaking of which, how's the Chelsea development coming along? On schedule. Your sister's tenants have been cooperative since learning about the fraud. My phone lit up with another call, a number I didn't recognize. I answered on speaker. Patricia? A familiar voice, one of Dad's old business partners. We need to talk about your father's accounts. No, we don't. I kept my voice cold. The SEC has everything they need. We could make a deal. Like the deals you made while stealing from investors? Goodbye. I hung up as Olive walked in, carrying files. More documents for the investigation, she said, then paused. Patricia, when does this end? I looked around the office, at the empty walls, the packed boxes, the remnants of Amelia's empire. It ends when there's nothing left. I took the files. When every fraud is exposed, every lie uncovered, every scheme dismantled. And then what? My phone buzzed one last time. Mom again. The bank is foreclosing. Please, we're your parents. I showed Olive the text. Then I'll know that being the responsible one meant being responsible for their downfall too. That's cold. No. I picked up my purse. That's karma. Walking out of the building that used to be the crown jewel of Amelia's portfolio, I felt neither triumph nor regret. Just a quiet certainty that every documented conversation, every recorded meeting, every carefully preserved piece of evidence had served its purpose. They wanted me to be responsible? Fine. I'd responsibly document their destruction, right down to the last detail. The last box from my apartment sat packed and labeled on my pristine hardwood floors. Olive perched on my kitchen counter, watching me do a final walkthrough. So, this is really it? She asked. You're just leaving? The SEC investigation is complete. Dad's facing charges. Amelia's properties are sold. I checked my phone. And Mom's last-ditch attempt to access my accounts was denied this morning. But London? That's pretty far. That's the point. I handed her an envelope. Which is why I need you to deliver this after I'm gone. She opened it. Inside was a check made out to myself for exactly $2.7 million. The memo line read, Return on Investment. Dramatic much? But she was smiling. Consider it closure. I looked around the empty apartment. Besides, Gerard's London office needs a new financial director. My phone buzzed. Jorge. Final paperwork is filed. He said, Your father's plea deal includes full admission of the Miami fraud. Amelia's trying to negotiate, but she has nothing left to negotiate with. Exactly. Oh, and your mother's lawyer called. Something about family counseling? I laughed. Tell him I'll attend when the restitution check's clear. After hanging up, I pulled up Instagram one last time. Amelia's latest post showed her selling her designer clothes online. Mom's church friends were commenting with prayer emojis. Dad's business partners had all unfollowed her. You really documented everything, Olive mused, flipping through my last notebook. Every lie, every scheme. Know what I realized? I took the notebook, running my fingers over its worn cover. They taught me how to destroy them, all those years of watching them manipulate and scheme. They were giving me the blueprint. My phone lit up. Rylan calling. Patricia, please, he started. Amelia's living in my studio apartment. She's talking about moving back home with your parents. Can't you? Funny how karma works, I cut him off. Tell her to check her email. The SEC has some questions about those insurance claims she filed. After hanging up, Olive helped me carry the last box down to the waiting car. What about the family photos? She asked. The memories? What memories? The ones where they plotted to steal from me? Or the ones where they laughed about it? I closed the trunk. I kept what matters, the evidence. My phone buzzed one final time, a text from Mom. Your father's court date is next week. We're still family. Please come home. I showed Olive the message. See? They still don't get it. Home isn't where they are anymore. And where is it? I pulled out my plane ticket. Somewhere they can't reach me. Somewhere I can build something new. Without their lies, without their schemes, without their version of family. You know what's ironic? Olive leaned against the car. You became exactly what they always wanted, ruthlessly successful. No, I smiled. I became what they feared, someone who could beat them at their own game. Opening my purse, I took out the last piece of evidence, a small recorder I'd used to document their conversations. I dropped it into a nearby trash can. Don't need this anymore? Olive asked. Don't need any of it. I hugged her goodbye. The damage is done, the truth is out, and I'm free? Exactly. As my car pulled away, I watched Olive wave in the rearview mirror. My phone stayed silent. I'd blocked every family number except Mom's, leaving that one open like a wound I wasn't ready to close. Not that it mattered. In a few hours, I'd be on a plane, leaving behind the wreckage of a family that thought they could use me forever. They never understood that being the quiet one, the responsible one, meant I saw everything, remembered everything, documented everything. They taught me that family means nothing. Fine. I learned that lesson well, but they forgot to teach me mercy. And that was their biggest mistake. Because in the end, I didn't just dismantle their empire, I built something stronger from its ruins. A life without their lies, without their manipulation, without their version of love. They wanted me to be responsible. I responsibly destroyed them. And I didn't need another notebook to document how that felt. I already knew. It felt like freedom.